so I was going to assume that was its objective. By a monster. I'm not sure if that's the right word, but the dungeon that came by it was unique in a few ways. For one, she had made an island with an entire city fly. Moving dungeons are on the rare side. We generally don't like them to be able to move, as they will usually devour everything they get their hands on. Whatever the case, it's mine now, I said, brushing my fingers against the strange, literally unearthly metal. A shiver went down my non-existent spine as a jolt of energy flickered between my finger and the cube. "When are you going to open a gateway?" Starburst asked, ignoring my possessive actions. Yes, I knew what I looked like, but I had technically watched my parents die once for this cube. I wasn't about to let it out of my grasp easily, nor was I not going to use it. Queen had shown me the path I could find myself on. I wanted to avoid that, if possible. Soon. I want to understand it a bit more and create some more minions that are better suited to exploration. Plus, I want to make sure the lovely Terleza isn't going to catch on anytime soon. For that, I need another power, so I need another level. Terleza was not someone you picked a fight with, unless you were sure you had the fight in the bag. I needed power, allies, and time to gather those. The cube would hopefully help me gather all that and more. If we could find doomed worlds, I could consume the monsters. If we found worlds that were resistant to the gods, we might be able to ally with them. The agents on the planet were powerful, but I knew their homeworld had to be even worse. "Going to be hard to gain levels if the humans never come into your dungeon," Starburst commented, glancing up at the ceiling of the cave. I mentally followed his gaze to the tents set up in the old parking lot that had serviced the subway station here. Along with the original one that the association had set up, several more had been set up by Neo's organization, the Knight's Hammer. The two organizations had been bringing in all sorts of equipment to try to figure out just what had caused the sky to momentarily split open. Because quite a lot of energy had emerged from my dungeon to close the hole, no one was willing to dive into my halls just yet. If I couldn't absorb ether from the underground river that flowed through my bottom floor, I would have been starving right now. I returned my presence to my core. I'm sure they'll start letting people in soon. I'm not sure exactly how the money situation works in the changed world still, but I assume you don't buy something if it doesn't have any value. I was annoyed that Neo had bought my dungeon, at least according to the people in the city. That feeling had been magnified a few times from the merge. If I wasn't careful, I would find myself going off on seething rants. "I certainly hope so. I'm afraid I might grow rusty," Starburst complained, clenching his fist a few times. "Then you should go get some more training in. I know Tenderheart is always up to lending a paw," I said with a smirk. Of course, the bear would try to hug Starburst for a good 10 minutes first. "Maybe next time," he replied, shaking his head. I pouted in disappointment, but didn't press the issue. "I'll find something to pass the time," he continued, "if you'll excuse me." He bowed before he flew off into the dungeon. I watched for a minute, then turned back to the cube. The inner workings were going to take some more time to figure out. It was in a language that was simply called the Magic Rune Script. Starburst said that it existed even before his people started calling themselves gods, and had been present on many worlds before theirs. It was a fascinating tidbit of information, but one that served me little. For one, I never thought I would have language classes after the apocalypse. I had learned one thing that I felt was important. The cube was technically called the Pocrix Dimensional Key. Adeptly named, given its powers. Watching the shifting metal could be mesmerizing if I wasn't careful. To avoid being distracted, I pushed the